The walls are closing in on those who believed they were untouchable, chosen ones. And tonight, confession breaks through their wall of falsehoods. The person who planned the murder of your character is now sitting by themselves in a room, practicing the truth they are about to reveal with trembling hands. The puppet master has been caught up in their own web after pulling threads to get you to dance to their fictitious story. And revealing what they have done to you is the only way out. They never thought this day would arrive. They believed they were unbeatable when they initially started their campaign against you because they were shielded by their allies' quiet in the darkness. However, karma is timed perfectly. The universe also maintains exacting records. They're going to admit more than simply how they ruined your reputation. The whole scheme is soon to be revealed. Identify each conspirator. Describe every tactic they used to portray you as the antagonist in a tale in which you were the protagonist. Imagine a windstorm-built house of cards. Their falsehoods have turned into that. One deceit had to be backed up by another. In order to remain credible, each bogus narrative required more complex fabrications. The burden of keeping up this made-up architecture is now too much to bear. And one card is on the verge of collapsing, carrying the whole system with it. There is no sudden moral awakening or conscience-driven motivation behind the individual getting ready to confess. They're in a tight spot, desperate, and dealing with repercussions they didn't foresee when they began this conflict with you. Perhaps it's financial collapse, legal pressure, or learning that their fellow conspirators have betrayed them. Their confession is going to confirm all you've knew deep inside, but were unable to verify, regardless of what compelled them to do it. All of your instincts about being singled out, your suspicions about planned assaults on your character, and your sense that something planned was taking place behind the scenes were all genuine. And tonight, the evidence comes straight from your adversary's lips. This revelation's timing is not coincidental. This moment has been orchestrated by the universe, which has allowed their falsehood to reach its pinnacle before creating its dramatic downfall. In reality, every justice lapse was a prelude to this total vindication. The world was giving them enough rope to hang themselves entirely every time you questioned why the truth wasn't winning out. When the truth comes to light, it will be unquestionable, all-encompassing, and devastating to those who have mistreated you, thanks to divine timing. Think of the evenings you questioned yourself, wondering whether you were mistaken or if their story had any merit. Your process of refining included those times of uncertainty. You were being taught by the universe to discern between internal truth and outward tales. Your capacity to be true to who you are was strengthened by every assault that didn't shatter you. Where they believed they were crushing coal, the pressure they exerted was really forming a diamond. Allow me to explain the genius behind your misery. Because their confession is unavoidable when their psyche is understood. It wasn't because you were weak that this guy examined you the way a predator analyzes its prey. They chose to target you because they were afraid of your might. Their whole life, which was based on deceit and manipulation, was in danger because of your genuine power, the type that emanates from someone who understands precisely who they are. They saw in you what their plans and tactics could never have. Success that sprang from true skill rather than political scheming, real respect from others, an innate charm that could not be faked. Your sheer presence revealed them to be fake, and instead of rising to your level, they decided to bring you down to theirs. Something inside of them flinched the first moment they saw you. At first, it wasn't hate. Fear was the cause. Fear that their fakery will be revealed by your genuineness. Fear that their transactional ties will be exposed by your sincere connections. Fear that your well-deserved success will draw attention to their falsified accomplishments. This worry grew to become an obsession. Then obsession turned into a quest to destroy what they were unable to become. They studied your communication style, connections, and trends for months. They made notes on your values, who you trusted, and your weak points. This wasn't a random remark. The goal of this methodical monitoring was to map every area of your life that they might use as a weapon. They became an authority on you, knowing more about your relationships and whereabouts than some of your best friends. Their strategy against you was meticulous, even scientific in its accuracy. They disseminated more than simply idle tales and gossip. In the tales they told, they created a whole other universe in which all of your talents turned into weaknesses. In their story, your self-assurance turned into conceit. Your achievements turned into proof of corruption. Your generosity turned into coercion. They realized that even the most convincing falsehoods include tidbits of truth that have been slightly warped to distort perception. Something important about your power is revealed by the intricacy of their assault. Such intricate demolition plans are not inspired by mediocre individuals. This degree of planned attack is reserved for people who really pose a danger to phony power systems. The time they spent, the people they recruited, and the finances they raised. It's all evidence of how important you were to their world. Just by being there, you were the truth that put their falsehoods in jeopardy. Every stage of their campaign was well planned. First, they used what seemed to be benign observations to sow suspicion. Little remarks regarding your actions that were poisonous yet seemed to be concerned. They next progressed to staged occurrences, setting up circumstances in which your typical reactions would be seen as undesirable. At last, they proceeded to complete character assassination, combining their falsified facts into a story that an uninformed audience found convincing. But here is when the fatal fault in their scheme was exposed. It takes ongoing effort and attention to detail to build falsehoods. Truth just is. You just kept being yourself while they worked themselves to the bone, keeping up their fiction, planning tales with collaborators, and remembering which falsehoods they had told to whom. Their manufactured reality was unable to resist the strain caused by such constancy and unwavering genuineness. Because their motive was sheer envy. The second character in this drama merits particular consideration. This individual is reminded of what they lack every morning when they wake up and face your presence. Not financial possessions, but character traits they are aware they will never have. How effortlessly you overcome obstacles that would ruin others. The innate charm that attracts others to you while they're trying to get attention. The respect you command just by being there while others use manipulation to get what they want. Their adoration turned into jealousy. It may surprise you to learn that they were pulled to your genuineness and enthusiasm when they first met you. They wanted to be near you in order to learn from you and perhaps even absorb some of your power. However, being close to excellence simply makes mediocrity worse. Their own shortcomings became more obvious the closer they drew to you. They decided to be offended by your presence rather than motivated to do better. Among unpleasant emotions, jealousy is distinct since it requires continuous recognition of the superiority of the other person. This individual had to acknowledge, at least unconsciously, that you had something they longed for but could never have. This was true every time they hated you. They choose to pursue destruction instead of using that notoriety as inspiration to better themselves. This envious collaborator turned become the rumor mill's main driver, disseminating every falsehood with an almost obsessive zeal. They did more than just regurgitate the mastermind's lies. They adorned them, infused the concoction with their own poison, and developed fresh offensive strategies. Not only did they propagate falsehoods, but they also made them more violent, intimate, and intended to cause harm rather than just discredit. They might have built their own success with the energy they put on destroying you. They might have spent those hours honing their own skills instead of fabricating falsehoods about you. They may have been uplifted by the passion they put into bringing you down, but it would have taken real effort, real work, real development. It seems simpler to ruin you than to earn the respect you were born with. Promote this video so that additional people who are selected like you may discover it if its message resonates with you. They became who they were because of their fascination with you. In some way, every interaction came full circle to you. Every achievement in your life set off a crisis in theirs. Every happy moment you had seemed like a personal assault on them. They began to live in opposition to your life and ceased to live their own. They reduced themselves to the position of resentful adversary, and you emerged as the protagonist of their tale. Observe how their internal jealousy has already begun to consume them. They are exhausted, empty, and more desperate as a result of the energy they have used attempting to kill you. The preoccupation has been apparent to others in their immediate vicinity. The way they joyfully celebrate every perceived catastrophe in your life, and how every discussion somehow comes back to you. Their disguise has been loosening, and it will soon come off entirely. Perhaps the most disdainful of all the conspirators is the third one. The quiet facilitator who was aware of the truth from the start, but opted for complicity rather than bravery. This someone might have cleared your name right away since they had access to information. They have the authority and standing to dispel the falsehoods with only one truthful remark. They decided to remain silent instead. Furthermore, being silent in the face of injustice is a kind of violence in and of itself. This facilitator wasn't only a bystander. They were actively participating by remaining silent. Each day they remained silent was a day they allowed falsehoods to grow. They chose corruption above the truth every time they had the chance to change the story and turn it down. Since they did not propagate the falsehoods directly, they want to think that their hands are clean. However, those falsehoods flourished because of their quiet. When they had the opportunity to speak, why did they remain silent? Maybe they were able to eliminate you as a rival or a barrier to their own goals by destroying you. Perhaps they just relished the drama and the thrill of seeing someone's reputation burn while they held the water that might have put out the flames. Or maybe they were just cowards, choosing justice above self-preservation because they were too weak to resist the tsunami of falsehoods. The intriguing aspect of this silent facilitator is how they rationalize their own inactivity. They came up with complex explanations for why it wouldn't matter to speak out, why it wasn't their job, and why you somehow deserved what was occurring. They assured themselves that they would avoid drama, maintain objectivity, and remain impartial. However, remaining neutral in the face of injustice is just fear disguised as knowledge. For months, this individual has been bearing the consequences of their involvement. And every day, that weight has been becoming heavier. Their shame grows each time they see you upholding your honor in the face of the unfounded charges. Their conscience is being crushed by the weight of every second they keep quiet. The psychological strain of being impartial while being aware of the truth has become intolerable. Their moral anguish has begun to manifest physically, grappling with their conscience during restless evenings. When your name is mentioned in discussion, anxiety flares up. The ongoing worry that someone will find out about their collusion. The falsehoods their tongue refuses to refute are being resisted by their body. They are really becoming ill as a result of the facts they have been hiding. Their internal strife has been intensifying till this breaking point. They have been torn between conflicting anxieties. Fear of what might happen if they spoke. When they don't, they fear the guilt. Fear of being judged for their first lack of response. Fear of reprisals from their fellow accomplices. However, guilt has a way of becoming more powerful than terror, especially when the evidence of persistent injustice adds to it every day. When you quit playing their game, something changed. They anticipated that in order to provide them with additional material for their assaults, you would frantically defend yourself and become emotional and reactive. Rather, you turned into an observer, taking a step back to see their deceptive apparatus with the dispassionate clarity of someone who is aware of their own reality. Everything was altered by this shift from victim to witness. The strategist was baffled by the failure of their psychological warfare. Why you weren't collapsing was beyond the jealous accomplice's comprehension. The silent enabler started to wonder whether they had made the correct decision. They were directing an orchestra with no audience, since you wouldn't dance to their music. You began to see what they believed to be unseen patterns. The cooperation of ostensibly separate rumor sources. Several assaults on your character that employ similar words. The timing of different disclosures was planned to do the most harm. Your need enhanced your observational abilities. You started charting their whole web of lies. Your handling of their assaults turned into a spiritual warfare masterclass. You rose beyond their low vibration rather than matching it with energy. They wanted you to fight in the mud, but you didn't. You ascended completely above the battlefield, seeing their battles from a vantage point they were unable to access. You were able to witness the whole conflict, not just certain battles, thanks to this change of viewpoint. Their own dysfunction was mirrored back to them by the mirror you made by refusing to be triggered by their provocations. They displayed their own violent desperation as each strike they fired in anticipation of a response ricochet back. Their dishonesty was exposed by every lie they spoke, expecting you to rush to defend yourself instead. Just by being true to yourself, you were a living example of their depravity. More significantly, you began to notice the weaknesses in their partnership. The jealous person's increasing resentment at being treated like a tool rather than an equal, the mastermind's frustration with their accomplice's incapacity, and the silent enabler's growing fear of their part in this injustice. On the inside, the conspiracy that seemed so strong was decaying. These fissures weren't arbitrary. They were unavoidable. Under duress, alliances based on corruption rather than morals inevitably fall apart. People's unity bears the seeds of its own disintegration when they band together to destroy rather than to build. Their dishonesty, betrayal, and lack of integrity were the very traits that made them eager to plot against you, and they ensured that they would ultimately turn on one another. Any number of things may be the triggering event that sets off tonight's confession. Perhaps the mastermind went too far, attempting to enlarge their web of deceit in order to ensnare others and attract the notice of a more powerful person. Maybe the envious accomplice finally saw that their allegiance was being rewarded with disdain. Alternatively, the quiet enabler just couldn't bear the guilt any longer and hit their breaking point. Another possibility is that other powers have stepped in. Their scams are being exposed by legal inquiries. Corruption is linked to financial audits. They can no longer sustain their falsehoods due to new evidence. The cosmos sometimes creates situations that compel the truth to come to light in spite of all efforts to keep it hidden. Tonight, the cosmic judicial system renders its decision after constructing its case. There have been many sources of increasing pressure. They have begun comparing notes with their other victims. Manipulation patterns have emerged for a variety of targets. What they believe to be individual destructive efforts have turned out to be a pattern of abuse. A coalition of the victimized has been discreetly constructing its case because of the mastermind's history of ruining others. What counts is if someone has found themselves in a difficult situation due to their own actions. There are now only two choices left to them. Either keep up the deception and risk total annihilation, or admit everything and ask for forgiveness. Their allegiance to the conspiracy has been overridden by their innate urge for self-preservation. They're going to expose everyone else in order to rescue themselves. This will not be a strategic or controlled revelation. The truth spills forth like water through a broken dam when someone who has spent their whole life telling falsehoods suddenly cracks. An extensive and devastating confession is the result of years of repressed guilt, animosity against co-conspirators, and dread of the repercussions. To test the waters of truth, the confession will start with modest confessions. However, they won't be able to stop talking once they start. For one truth to make meaning, another is necessary. Every disclosure necessitates background information that reveals further lies. The trickle turns into a stream. The brook turns into a river. And whatever they constructed against you is washed away by the river turning into a flood. They will provide details you were unaware of, such as the actual extent of the plot, the number of participants, the length of time it took to organize, and the way they coordinated their assaults. They will reveal how they created evidence against you, how they tricked others into accepting their falsehoods, and how they utilized psychological tricks to keep you away from possible supporters. The simplicity of the details will be startling. They coordinated their tales for hours in group conversations. They made these records to keep track of their falsehoods and make sure they were consistent. Their meetings to plot their next course of action against you. You can see how frightened they were by your very existence, by the amount of infrastructure needed to keep up their fake story. However, the motives will be more illuminating than the techniques. The trivial reasons that prompted allegedly sane individuals to commit months of their life to ruining yours. financial envy, romantic anger, professional jealousy, or just the perverse pleasure that some individuals get from hurting other people. It will be a clear demonstration of the banality of evil. Conversations you were not intended to know about will be revealed to you. There were times when someone intentionally sought to destroy you while feigning support. There were moments when you showed compassion to someone who was plotting your demise at the same time. In addition to being free, the level of betrayal will be astounding. At last, you'll have proof that your intuition was right all along. Observe how fast the social dynamics around you change when this revelation comes to light. People who were suspicious of you suddenly realize how valuable you are. Those who fell for the falsehoods hurried to put the liars out of their sight. Your shown innocence reorganizes the whole narrative framework that was constructed around your guilt. This transformation will happen at a dizzying rate. Today's supporters are yesterday's detractors. Individuals who previously refused to answer your calls now want to get back in touch. Those who have been whispering behind your back are now vocally defending you. The reality of your vindication is now transmitted by the same societal stream that formerly carried falsehoods about you. Some people may come up to you and really apologize after realizing they were duped into thinking false things about you. Others will rewrite history to put themselves on the right side, acting as if they never had any doubts about you. Some will just vanish, too embarrassed to confront you about their involvement. The personality of the individual providing the answer is shown in each response. The cascading impact starts right away. As soon as the first confessor speaks, others scramble to expose their fellow conspirators and lessen their own responsibility. When the envious accomplice realizes they have been deceived, they turn viciously on the mastermind. They publish stored communications, disclose private talks, and provide proof of cooperation that the mastermind's idea was destroyed. The silent enabler gives the vital evidence about what they knew and when they knew it, because they're trying to absolve themselves of guilt. They acknowledge their timidity, but they also provide facts that may have cleared your identity right away. Because it demonstrates the conspiracy's existence at levels the others attempted to suppress, their confession is very harmful. Peripheral players begin to emerge as well. Individuals who had a little part in propagating the misinformation now rush to admit it in the hopes of being forgiven. The once powerful conspiracy breaks apart into people frantically attempting to protect themselves from the fallout from their combined actions. Even a mastermind tries to mitigate the damage by assigning blame after being fully exposed. They assert that there was a miscommunication, that their behavior was misconstrued, and that you were the object of manipulation by others. Their mutual demise is facilitated by the same weapons they used against you. Damage control tactics by the mastermind merely exacerbate the situation. Every justification they make exposes more deliberation in their behavior. More premeditation is shown with each excuse. In reality, every effort to downplay their significance emphasizes how essential they were to the conspiracy as a whole. Their own comments end up being the last nail in their coffin. Now that their version of events has been shown to be false, watch how they rush to change history. They will state that they really believed what they were saying at the time, that their falsehoods were the result of miscommunications, and that they were attempting to shield others from you. However, every justification exposes the extent of their dishonesty. Each explanation reveals how well-planned their campaign was. The more they speak, the more they use their own words to condemn themselves. This moment has been expertly planned by the cosmos. They were essentially digging themselves deeper with each postponement of justice. The strain for this explosive disclosure increased with each time you endured under false allegations. The cosmic justice scales are not simply balanced. When the time is right, they tilt sharply in favor of the truth. That time is tonight, and they are on the verge of being totally destroyed by the weight of their falsehoods. Not only is your vindication total, it's overpowering. Every falsehood about you is revealed as a projection. Every charge they made turns out to be a diversion from their own responsibility. They are shown to have every character defect they blamed on you. Rather, the fabricated storyline forced people to overlook your true personality, discount your genuine accomplishments, and create unfounded motives. Truth, however, is serious. Eventually, it draws everything in its direction. The very evidence of your honesty comes from the testimonies of those who have never respected it. The exceptional quality of who you are is revealed by their confession, something they never planned to admit. Consider it. Your genuine self was a danger to their manufactured reality, as seen by the amount of effort, preparation, and coordination needed to create a fake narrative about you. Destroying someone doesn't need much work unless they stand for anything significant. You were just being yourself while others were creating complex lies and engaging in political games. That genuineness turned out to be more potent than all of their plans put together. To overcome them, you didn't have to become like them. You didn't have to give up your morals or compromise your integrity. All you had to do was be loyal to yourself. And that reality proved to be their downfall. You have not been weakened by your experience. You are now more powerful than you were before because of it. You have acquired skills via trial and error that cannot be taught. The capacity to quickly see through facades, detect manipulation from a distance, and distinguish between genuine connection and transactional interactions. The abilities you have acquired are more than just discernment. Now you have a kind of spiritual radar that can see dishonesty before it's completely developed. When someone's words don't match their enthusiasm, you can tell. People's words and their intentions seem to be at odds with one another. You're almost hard to fool with these skills. Once again, you are aware of who supports you in situations when the story is unclear and who has the guts to tell the truth when it is more easy to tell falsehoods. You've gained the ability to distinguish between those who really support you and those who only put themselves in a favorable position. These are abilities that will benefit you for the rest of your life, not merely survival skills. Above all, you've learned to fully trust your own judgment. You stuck to your truth even when everyone else was telling you that you were incorrect about yourself. You were able to hold onto reality even while everyone around you was gaslighting you. That degree of self-confidence is priceless and unbreakable. Following their confession, a whole different landscape is revealed. Those who took part in your character assassination end up feeling alone and disgraced. Those who stayed impartial are revealed as cowards. The few individuals who supported you at your worst moments are shown to be really honest. This is purification rather than just vindication. People who are prepared to accept falsehoods without proof have been removed from your social surroundings. People who may be coerced into treachery. Those who would compromise the truth for practicality. Your new connections and the ones that stay will be founded on sincere respect, loyalty, and tried and true truth. In your life, the universe has utilized this challenge to separate the good from the bad. Each person's response to the falsehoods about you exposed their actual nature. The exam was dramatically unsuccessful for some. Others did really well. However, when pressure was applied, everyone revealed their true selves. People will come up to you and say how well you handled this challenge. They will be attracted to you not just because of your skills and accomplishments, but also because of your shown integrity, resilience, and capacity to remain true to yourself in the face of adversity. These are uncommon traits that are really respected. In your circles, your tale will become legendary. The individual who stood by their truth in the face of orchestrated deception. The person who remained composed while others caused mayhem. The one who not only survived character assassination, but also rose in the process. This tale will come before you, building a reputation that no falsehood in the future can undermine. This vindication has far-reaching consequences that go far beyond your small social group. What occurred and how you handled it will be heard by people who don't even know you personally. Others who are subjected to similar assaults will be motivated to maintain their integrity by your example. Your narrative serves as a ray of hope for anybody facing unfounded allegations and well-planned destructive campaigns. You have won more than simply your personal struggle. You have established a model for success that others may use. What's taking place tonight has a spiritual component that transcends simple human drama. This whole experience has been a means for the universe to get you ready for something bigger. You were really developing spiritual muscles you were unaware you possessed with each assault. Every falsehood about you made room for a bigger truth to show through you. The plot against you was really a plot for your elevation, carried out by heavenly powers who understood that this ordeal was necessary for you to become the person you were destined to be. Think about the sequence of events that have brought us to this point. The way certain individuals came into your life at the right time. The manner certain facts were revealed just when they were needed. The way your intuition led you to make seemingly random yet important judgments. This was not an accident. While your adversaries were playing checkers, the cosmos was playing chess. Additionally, everyone may see the checkmate tonight. The fact that you do this without sacrificing your identity is the most fulfilling part. To reveal their falsehoods, you didn't need to tell a lie yourself. To overcome their manipulation, you didn't need to manipulate. Unraveling their plots didn't need you to plot. You didn't change, and it was more than plenty. It was all of it. They were annihilated by their own tactics. Their conspiracy's final demise was guaranteed by the same lack of ethics that made it possible. Their propensity to betray, which they had previously used as a weapon, was now utilized against them. By making the same decisions that led to your demise, they set the stage for their own. This is how genuine power differs from manufactured influence. They use deceit to gain short-term tactical gains. However, their techniques sowed the seeds of their own demise. By upholding integrity, you created something that was based on truth and could not be destroyed. There is more to tonight's confession than simply falsehoods being exposed. It is the universe's proclamation that truth wins out in the end. It's a cosmic affirmation that genuineness triumphs over fakery. The fact that those who stay loyal to themselves will outlive those who base their life on dishonesty is divine confirmation. Remember how you were untouchable and stood in the center of their cyclone, watching their world fall apart. That picture reappears, raised and changed. Even while you remain upright, everyone can now see what you've always known. Your foundation was not affected by their storm. Their fabrication has turned into proof of their depravity. Their character is reflected in every lie they have said. Every effort at manipulation reveals their actual character. Beneath their meticulously crafted masks, every strategy they carried out exposes their true selves. Remember this moment tonight when their revelation comes forth, shattering the complex lie they constructed around you. Recall what it was like to stand by your principles while everyone else was telling falsehoods. When strong forces attempted to redefine you, keep in mind the courage it required to stay true to who you are. Recall that you didn't survive by imitating your adversaries, but rather by being so true to yourself that their assaults ultimately proved to be your downfall. This event has unequivocally shown that you were selected. When they attempted to make you doubt reality, you remained sane and withstood their greatest attacks. When they attempted to persuade you that you were the issue, you refused to compromise your integrity. When they tried to change your tale, you managed to stay true to who you were. You're stronger, smarter, and more powerful than ever after the storm they made to destroy you passed. They are now making their confession. Their truth is coming to light. You have been fully vindicated. You didn't just escape their assault. You turned it into your victory. This is what being selected implies. It's not that you're immune to assaults, but rather that you can use them to your advantage. You will come out of falsehoods with your truth shining brighter, not that you won't encounter them. It's not that you won't have adversaries. Rather, it's that you will overcome them just by being yourself. When they began their campaign against you, the individual admitting tonight believed they were scripting your demise. They were writing their own instead. When they built their falsehoods, they believed they were constructing your jail. They were constructing their own cage instead. When they attacked your character, they believed they were ruining your future. Rather, they were making sure that the foundation of verified truth would serve as the basis for your future. You stand justified not only in the eyes of others, but also in the world court of justice when their words flow forth tonight, revealing every aspect of their plot. Through their own admission, the reality they attempted to conceal has come back to life. Their attempt to alter the real tale has turned out to be more potent than their fabrication. You have been selected. You've been proven right. You have won, not because you used their own weapons against them, but rather because you refused to change who you were in the face of their attempts to do so. The same thing they attempted to destroy, your true power, became the force that killed them. You already know the game is rigged, don't you? You can tell that the walls are getting closer if you're paying attention. Let's discuss our current course of action. You must be heard, held, and given a fair hand when you spend your life at the whim of the market, when property and profit rule the land. These are the demands of the people. We also hear you. There are paywalls for the Obsidian Inner Order. Yes, the people who support us and keep our mission going provide us with the ammo we need to battle the Archons, resist the machine, go deeper, and find more. As a token of appreciation, each week, premium members get a 1-hour live, customized group tarot reading, as well as direction, understanding, and clarity for the future. However, we cannot overlook kicking a guy for being on the ground. Because of this, you may start stealing the Astral Atom unique daily email for free right now. No catch, no paywall. Simply click the link in the description to sign up for the Patreon free tier. Our dialogue with you has begun, and it will be reciprocal. You're able to respond to any email that we send you. We'll read it, we'll listen to you, and we'll do our best to ask the cosmos itself for a response. We need your help if you can. Take what's free if you can. The Inner Order of Obsidian is open. Let's resume our work now. Tonight, the walls that surrounded them were constructed by them. Lies by lies, bricks by bricks. The unavoidable result of living a life of deceit is the confession that comes out of their mouths. And you are real evidence that honesty is the ultimate power as you stand in your truth and watch their made-up world fall apart. This is your time to be fully validated.